Welcome to my channel. Today in this video I am going to talk about CICD Pipeline. So what is CICD Pipeline? To know this, let's watch this video. So what is CICD? The CICD full form is Continuous Integration and Continuous Deployment. So it's a process in software projects that enables application delivery to production environment as quickly as possible using the tools available in the market. So if you use these tools, you can easily implement CI/CD pipeline, and you can easily take your application into production in an efficient way. So you can automate complete process from pulling the source code from the Git or Bitbucket or any source control management system. So what are the tools available in the market to implement the CI/CD pipeline? What are the tools you require? What are the tools or softwares we need to implement CI/CD? First, we need version control management system. Second, we need a build tool and continuous integration tool like Jenkins and container. Let's talk about each and every tool that I have mentioned here, like a Git, Bitbucket, Maven, Jenkins, Docker. Let's first talk about Git or Bitbucket. Git is a very popular tool for any project, any software project, to save your code, and you have to maintain a version of your code for tracking purpose. So Git is very popular. It has very efficient management or command tools that you can execute to pull the code, and once you make your changes to your code, you have to push the code back to Git repository where your all source code is available. And it provides a lot of commands to manage your Git repository. And Bitbucket is also an extension of Git, but it will have some very beautiful user interface where you can see your projects, and you can create the project via user interface, and also you can make changes in your code using the user interface of Bitbucket, and you can push your code to Bitbucket. So this is the use of Git or Bitbucket. And second, the build tool like Maven. Maven is popular for very popular in the Java or Scala projects, which will contain a pom.xml file where you will define your project or application name and dependencies that is required for your application to build a jar, and it will have the server configuration, like from where you have to pull your code or libraries. So that is the basic things that you define in your pom.xml. Gradle also is same as Maven, but it has a different kind of dependency management system. Of course, they both use similar libraries to pull the libraries from central repository like Maven or Nexus. SBT is popular with Scala projects, which will have the same job like Maven, pulling the libraries from central repository to your application and building the jar or var application. So that's the purpose of a build tool. Jenkins is a very powerful tool for any project which can be used to build your CI/CD pipeline. Basically, Jenkins will have the user interface where you can create Jenkins jobs to pull the code from your Git or Bitbucket repository and compiling the code and building the jar. So these are all things you can do using a Jenkins job. There are a lot of different types of Jenkins jobs: freestyle job or pipeline job with Jenkins file, and also multi-project pipeline or multi-branch pipeline job. I prefer to use pipeline job with the Jenkins file, where you can define all the stages of your CI/CD pipeline like defining on which platform your application is going to be deployed. And then next you have to define stages of each and every step, like pulling your source code from your Bitbucket and compiling it, so where you can write some Maven commands in the stage. And also next stage will be like once your application or build is successful, you have to convert that into Docker image, so you can write the Docker commands to convert your jar into Docker image. So all those steps can be written in your pipeline. And once you have the successful Docker image, how you can push the Docker image to a Docker registry where all your Docker images are stored. So once your Docker image is stored on file, then you have to pull the Docker image from Docker registry, and you have to port this Docker image to different deployment environments. So how you can do this? Everything can be defined in a Jenkins pipeline job. So Jenkins pipeline job is nothing but just a Groovy script that has to be written in Jenkins file. The very term, the Jenkins file, you have to define the file name as Jenkins file. Then only the Jenkins can identify this file from your project, and it will execute all the steps that you have defined in your Jenkins file. So multi-branch or multi-project pipeline. For example, for your repository or project, there are multiple branches. So when you want to test your all changes that has been pushed to multiple branches at the same time, you have to create the multi-branch pipeline job. So we'll discuss about this later in this video. Not in this video, maybe next video, how the Jenkins work, how to create the Jenkins job or pipeline job or multi-branch pipeline job. So I will make another video for this. So Jenkins also provides a lot of plugins to connect to Bitbucket or to connect to the deployment platforms like clouds, like Google Cloud or Azure or whatever it is, or maybe cloud native environments like Mesosphere. So Jenkins is very popular tool and a very important tool for any CI/CD pipeline. There are other tools like Circle CI, Travis CI, Bamboo, but there are paid versions. So to use these tools, you have to pay money. So there are community versions as well, but of course there are free trials, but you cannot use it for a long time. So when you have open source like Jenkins, why can't you use it? Of course, Jenkins looks like very old and it has a very outdated user interface, but it is very powerful to implement a CI/CD pipeline. That's enough for us. Then Docker container or Kubernetes. Docker container is nothing but it's a Docker image, which is some people they call it as a virtual machine. So of course, whatever it is, but it's a small image which is a small container, lightweight. So when you want to build a Docker image, you have to have a Docker file in your project. That means in your source code, where you define some steps or commands to pull the Docker image, the base image for your application from Docker registry. And also you can write some commands to tag the Docker image. And also once you have the Docker image, and also you can write some commands to download some dependent libraries or some configuration that is required for your application to run successfully within the container. So these all things can be defined in Docker file. So whenever you run the Docker image, these all commands will be executed, whatever you have written in a Docker file, and it will create the Docker image and it will push the Docker image to your Docker registry. So once you have Docker image is pushed to your Docker registry, then you can define some other stage in your Jenkins pipeline to pull the Docker image from Docker registry and deploy to different platform, like a deployment platform. So these deployment platforms will be like dev, test, acceptance, and production. So these are the main tools that is required to implement any CI/CD pipeline for any project. So yeah, let's end this video until now. We talk about how we can manage your source code in Bitbucket or Git, how to match the code, how to pull the code, how you can continuously integrate the source code with the existing code, and how to deploy continuously in deployment platforms. We can discuss all these points in the next video. Okay guys, if you like this video, just like it and share it with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Then goodbye until next video. Thank you.